What's going on, guys, and welcome to part 9 of What If Indigo Champion Ash challenged the Johto League. But before we get into today's part, I just want to take a couple of minutes to make sure that you guys are hitting that subscribe button, because only 30% of you that are watching these videos have not hit that subscribe button. So if you could do that, it would help the channel grow and get it to a larger audience. But without further ado, let's get into today's part. I hope you enjoy. We pick back up with our dual teams meeting on the beach. Gary and Ash are excited to see each other, even though they are rivals. Gary, what are you doing here? Well, me and my friends are on our way to Cianwood City to check out the gym for battles. Really, Ash says, I just challenged that gym, as Ash flashes his badge, trying to show off. Gary, being who he is, tells Ash he's made good progress. They're not far off from each other, flashing his own badges. So, why are you here on Red Rock Isle, Gary asks. Well, me, Misty, and Vincent are all here to compete in the World Cup. The World Cup, Gary asks? Ash and Misty go on to explain what it is. While this is going on, Vincent, Ethan, and Marina are doing some catching up of their own. The friends first greet each other. Then, Ethan asks the inevitable questions. How many badges do you have, Vincent? Well, I don't want to brag, but... As Vincent flashes his 6 badges, which is more than anyone in the group has. Ethan, trying not to seem jealous, congratulates Vincent. Good job, man. That's great work. But his efforts to hide his jealousy is very poor, and everyone notices, but everyone just laughs. At this point, Gary tells his friends about the World Cup, and he knows that they are en route to Cianwood City, but he's thinking he would like the chance to compete. It would be a great way to prepare for the next gym battle. Ethan is excited at this prospect as well, but Gary quickly rains on his parade. Ethan, you're gonna need at least 3 water-type Pokemon to compete, and all you have is Quagsire. Saddened by this revelation, Ethan says, well, at least I can spend time with Vincent and Marina. Oh, I'm in the tournament, Vincent says. I have 3 water Pokemon, as I'm prepared for any situation. But Misty quickly challenges this by revealing Vincent's panic back when he was trying to catch the Pokemon for the tournament. This embarrasses him and everyone else just laughs. But Vincent just yells, well, at least I'm in. This is true, Gary says. Oh, and by the way, can we still register for it? I don't know, Ash says. If so, it would be at the Pokemon Center. So we better get going before all the rounds fill up. Good idea, Gary says. So Ash recalls his Lapras for the first time since the Orange Islands. This, however, prompts his Pokédex to force Ash to send a Pokemon to Professor Oak for the time being. Ash chooses Magby, as he shouldn't need a fire type during a water tournament. With that, they all head to the Pokemon Center. Once they arrive, they are surprised by the amount of people. This tournament is far bigger than the fighting type demonstration in Cianwood City, Ash thinks. It's at this point, everyone splits up. Gary needs to register, and the rest of his team go with him. Ash needs to call Professor Oak, as he needs to make one more change to his team, while Misty and Vincent go to get a couple of rooms in the center, if there is anything left, of course. Over with Team Gary, they are waiting in line. Ethan asks what Pokemon Gary will use. He says he does have a lot of Pokemon, but the only water type with him is Blastoise. So after they are done, he's going to have to make a call to his grandfather to get 2 more, but that won't be an issue. Eventually, the group makes it to the front of the line, where Nurse Joy is informing them that due to the overwhelming amount of entrants, she can only take 1 more applicant. Then, she has to shut down registration. Gary tells her that's fine, as he's the only one entering. Well, that was close, Ethan says. I guess it's a good thing I didn't have enough water types. Yeah, but we still get to watch this amazing tournament with a lot of different water Pokemon, Marina says. That's true, a voice rings out from behind him. That's the reason I came to this tournament. Team Gary turns to see a girl dressed rather oddly before them. Who are you? Ethan says. Oh, how dumb of me. My name is Nessa. I'm a water-type gym leader from the Galar region. Galar region? Ethan and Marina say in puzzlement. I've heard of this place, Gary says. Gramps once talked about it. He said that he traveled there when he was a young trainer. Oh, by the way, I'm Gary. This is Ethan and Marina, the Oak says. Nessa asks if he's Gary Oak, the grandson of Professor Oak. He is, Ethan says, excitedly, as he is Gary's unofficial hype man. Well, this tournament is set to be a good one. I've heard there are other strong trainers here, like a regional champion and a gym leader from another region. Oh, that's probably Ash you heard about. I think he went to go swap out some Pokemon for the tournament. Nessa, excited, says she hopes to get a chance to battle both Ash and Gary. They are both top trainers in their home region and have quite the reputation. Really, Gary says? I didn't think I was that well known, but I'm looking forward to the tournament as well. Nessa and the group then go on to talk some more while we go check on the rest of our heroes. Over with Ash, she's talking with Professor Oak. After trading out Shuckle for his Kingler, Ash is all set with his 3 water Pokemon. Oak then asks about Wartortle. Ash tells the professor that he would like to have it here, but the dojo he left it at is so remote that he doesn't think he could contact it in time for the actual tournament. So he's just going to go with the 3 that he has. Well, there are 3 fine choices. Oak also tells Ash that the 2 Pokemon he's sent over will be looked after by Tracy, so not to worry. With that, Ash hangs up and walks away to join Misty and Vincent. Speaking of those 2, we now follow them as they are walking to register for some rooms, but Misty and Vincent are in a conversation about the tournament when Misty bumps into a tall individual that knocks her on her butt. Vincent begins to yell at this person, telling him to watch where he's going, but this person immediately apologizes to Misty, introducing himself as Wallace, as he helps her to her feet. night. Misty is in complete shock, not because she's infatuated or anything, but because she knows who this is. Wallace, the strongest gym leader of the Hoenn region, who just so happens to be a water-type specialist. Wallace again apologizes, asking if she's okay. Misty just nods. Wallace chuckles a bit. Well, I have to go and get ready for tomorrow, as the first round is the most important. Wallace then excuses himself, walking off. Ash at this point comes in to join his friends. Who was that, he asks. He says his name is Wallace. He's in the tournament apparently, Vincent says. Well, I hope he's strong, Ash says, as the team go to get their rooms, with Misty lost in thought about her interaction. Later on, Gary calls his grandfather. Hey Grandpa, how have you been? I've been well, Gary. Are you calling about changing out some of your Pokemon for some water types? I am. Did Ash tell you I was here? He did. So, do you have an idea of which ones you want? You do have quite the selection. I know, and I've been thinking about it. I have 2 in mind I will use with Blastoise. With that, Gary sends Arcanine and Nidoqueen for his 2 choices, then tells his grandfather thank you before hanging up the phone. Turning, Gary is met with Ash, who is out with Pikachu. Hey Gary, let's give it our best. This could be the last chance we battle in a tournament like this before the Johto League. Oh, don't worry, Ash. The Pokemon I've chosen will give me the best chance to win this tournament. Gary then tells his rival good night as he heads back to his room. The next morning, our heroes find themselves at the site of the World Cup, a battlefield set in an ancient Colosseum. Ash, Misty, Gary, and Vincent look on in amazement. Misty especially. This is a water-type trainer's dream. She can't wait to show off what she can do. Other trainers like Nessa and Wallace are here as well, both keeping to themselves, waiting for the official tournaments to start. But they don't have to wait long, as the coordinator of the events come on the mic to mark the official start and make the official announcements. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Cup. I have some exciting announcements. First, we have a few celebrities in the crowd today. Word is a few water-type gym leaders from other regions, as well as a regional champion, are in attendance. So, you can bet the festivities are going to be lively during the tournament. But now, for the main announcement. We have a record number of entrants in this year's event, far more than expected. This is exciting, as now we have to do things a little differently. Normally, we cut the cap at 64 entrants, but because we have so many, we are splitting you all into different brackets. This event will be held over a 6-day period. So today is day 1, and we will have battles in each of those brackets throughout the day until we have a top 32 list of trainers that will be moving on to day 2. Then we will proceed from each day until we have crowned our new champion of the World Cup. Ash and Pikachu are excited. They can't wait to get into the battles. But Gary pokes fun at Ash, reminding Pikachu that this is a water-only competition, so it's going to have to sit this one out. Pikachu is sad, but understands, as Ash and his friends rush to find out what brackets they are in. Meanwhile, Marina and Ethan are in the stands. Ethan is still a little upset that he's not in, while Marina can't wait to see any new Pokemon that may appear. Day 1 goes off without a hitch. Ash and Kingler are the star of his battles, Misty shows off what she can do with Corsola, and Vincent and his Golduck manage to take out all of their wins. Gary and his surprise entrant Seadra make quick work of their opponents, while Nessa, Wallace, and an impressive young trainer named Trinity make their way into the top 32 of day 2. That night, Ash and his friends are all eating at the Pokemon Center. They're celebrating jobs well done today, but Gary tells everyone not to get cocky. The competition is stiff, and he has a pretty good idea who will be in the top 16 at tomorrow's end. Everyone at the table and a few trainers that showed exceptional skill on the water battlefield today. Ash tells Gary, don't go losing until they battle. Don't worry, Ash. I'm sure we'll get our chance, Gary says. The two smile as the fire in each other burns. But Ethan doesn't like Ash's attitude, telling Ash he shouldn't be so confident, as we all know Gary is the better trainer. Ash, caught off guard by this comment, is silent, but this triggers an argument between Ethan and Vincent. Now Ash is even more confused, but Marina explains the situation of the two and what happened when they first met Gary. Ash and Gary just laugh, as it reminds them of how their rivalry used to be. It's at this point everyone disbands for the night, heading to their rooms. The next morning, all of the combatants find themselves back at the tournament grounds, ready for day 2. This is where the real challenge should begin, as from this point on, it is clear who the true competition is. The group sees action-packed and elegant performances from the outsiders Wallace and Nessa. It is clear they're in a class above most of the other trainers, with their mastery of the water typing, that even has Misty questioning her own skills. But her self-doubt is subdued when she manages to make it into the top 16 with Poliwhirl. Ash and Gary manage to clear their matches as well and lock in their spots in day 3. It eventually comes down to the final match of the top 16, and we find it's Vincent and a random trainer. Vincent has his back to the wall. His Golduck fell in battle to a Mantine, and his last Pokemon has to take down 2, as this round is a 2-on-2 battle style. But Vincent is as hard-headed as Ash, and won't just roll over, sending in his strongest water-type Pokemon, Azumarill. This Pokemon has clearly been with Vincent a while. The timing with the two is near perfect, catching the attention and praise of Wallace and the others in the top 16. In what I can describe as an Ash move, Vincent Vincent tells Azumarill to use Rollout on Mantine, which shouldn't be possible, but using its tail as a center point and spinning at an increased rate of speed, Azumarill is able to literally roll on water, knocking out the Mantine. Next up, Vincent has his hands full with a fully evolved starter, Feraligatr. Azumarill hasn't taken much damage from the previous battle, but that doesn't mean that this battle will be easy, as it is the brunt of many slash and bite attacks. Vincent has no choice but to rely on its endurance with Defense Curl, hitting with random bubble beams when it can. This goes on for a while until it becomes apparent that the Feraligatr is starting to tire. Azumarill is finally able to go on the attack with the Rollout. It hits 3 in succession, but it's still not enough. Feraligatr's defense is really impressive. Vincent decides to risk it all with one final move. Feraligatr is on top of Azumarill with another slash. Holding till the final moment, Vincent orders a double edge. This hits point blank. The two Mons look at each other as the attack completes, pushing themselves to the limits of their endurance. But in the end, Feraligatr falls, giving Vincent the win, closing out day 2 of the tournament. Later at the Pokemon Center, Ethan and Vincent are talking while his Pokemon are being checked up on. "You know, that was a very close call," Ethan says. "What do you mean?" "I had that one from the moment I stepped into the ring," Vincent says, not wanting to reveal that he was starting to doubt himself. "You can't fool me," Ethan says. "I've known you longer than most people, and you were clearly starting to lose your cool." But the two are interrupted by Wallace when he contradicts Ethan, telling Vincent that that bond with his Azumarill that he has is a deep one. "It's clear that you two have been through a lot, but I will caution you, young trainer, a bond may not be enough to carry you through. Remember that," Wallace says as he walks off, leaving the duo in suspense. While that happened, Ash and Misty are outside looking into the night sky. Ash says her battles went well today. She seems like she's on the top of her game. Misty thanks Ash for his confidence. But to tell you the truth, after watching the other water type experts today, I realized there is a huge gap between me and them. That girl, Nessa, isn't much older than me, but her battle compared to mine, there was a clear difference in skill between us. This has had my nerves on end," Misty says. "Well, they shouldn't be," a voice says. Misty and Ash turn, and the subject of their conversation is standing before them. "Oh, Nessa, I didn't mean any disrespect. I was just... Don't worry about it. None taken. You were just making a comparison, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think you sell yourself short," Nessa says. "What do you mean?" Misty asks. "Your battle style has the makings of greatness, but it seems you don't get a lot of chances to battle in your element," Nessa says. Well, that statement is closer to the truth than you know. This gets Ash's attention. "Lately, I've been feeling something is missing. I don't know how to say this, but it's like I'm holding myself back by following Ash around." "What, Misty? Why would you say that? You're a great trainer. Don't put yourself down like that." "Wait, Ash. Let's hear her out," Nessa says. "Well, it's just..." "Misty, say what you need to say." "Well, Ash, this journey has been about you. You are growing as a trainer. I thought you had peaked after winning the Indigo League, but after watching you challenge Johto and continue to push your limits, and then Brock choosing to leave to go further himself, I can't help but wonder if it's my time to do the same, to make my own journey for me. That's why I wanted to enter the World Cup, in hopes of finding the answers to this." "Wow, Misty, I didn't know. I knew you were having trouble, but I didn't think it was that bad." But Ash smiles. "Don't worry though. I was feeling the same way after winning the league. Lost. Not sure of what to do next. But once I started asking the question, I found the answer. I have no doubt you will do the same." "Thanks, Ash. I needed to hear that." "Nessa, thanks for saying what you did. It was something I needed to hear." "No problem. I need you at your best after all. You two are on the top of my list of the people I want to battle in this tournament. Especially you, Ash, as B told me how strong you are." "B? You know B?" Ash says. "Well, I should. We're both from the Galar region." Ash just looks at Nessa, knowing that before this tournament is over, they will battle. The next day, we roll into the top 16. There is a clear skill gap that has been made obvious at this point. Gary, Vincent, Wallace, Nessa, and Trinity have all made their way into the top 8. The last two on today's chopping block is Ash and Misty. They have to remove these final obstacles in order to secure their spot. Up first is Misty, as she is in the final stages of her battle against a trainer named Marcellus. This unfortunately is kind of an unfair matchup for Misty. Her opponent is an Octillery trainer, and since Ash has the same type of Mon on his team, she has a pretty good idea on what its abilities are. Misty makes quick work of the first one with her Poliwhirl. The battle was honestly one-sided, leaving Misty feeling a little bad, as she can see the lack of skill in her opponent. Now, Poliwhirl faces against the second Octillery. This match is a little bit more even in the abilities that are displayed, and then eventually comes to a head when a water gun collides with an Octazooka. The two attacks result in an explosion of energy that capture both Pokemon. When the smoke clears, both of them are unable to battle, but as Misty still has one Pokemon left to battle with, she is declared the winner. securing Misty's spot in the top 8. Now we lead to the match with Ash. His opponent is a trainer called Christopher. This battle has an echo of Deja Vu, as Ash's first pick is Kingler, who is matched up against a Cloyster, but this one proves to be more defensive than Kingler's previous encounters. Kingler's massive claw is unable to crack the shell of this clam. Since Crabhammer proves to cause minimal damage, Ash chooses to change it up. He needs to bait out Cloyster. Kingler changes the angle of its Crabhammer, hitting it from the side, sending Cloyster into a spin. The power of this attack forces Cloyster into the water as it spins, but this does have a negative effect. As the spinning was so powerful, it pulled a whirlpool that was just outside of the battle area into the fray. This changes up the battle, forcing Kingler to hold itself in place with its one giant claw. Christopher sees this as an opening, telling Cloyster to fire an ice beam. This forces Cloyster from its hiding spot, but this is what Ash wanted. Ash then orders a hyper beam from Kingler's free claw. The moves collide, but it's quickly apparent that the hyper of the two beams is more powerful, overpowering the ice beam and connecting with Cloyster, ending the first battle. Christopher recalls Cloyster, telling Ash I was quick thinking by making the field a whirlpool, but you've given me the victory of this match, as he sends in his ace, Kingler. Ash is unfazed by this, not really heeding the warning that he was just given. He orders Kingler to use Harden, but it's still recovering from the hyper beam and is unable to move. This gives Kingler a free move, and it isn't wasted as Kingler is ravaged by a Twister. Kingler takes a lot of damage here. Ash then calls for the less powerful Bubble Beam, hoping to hit Kingler, but this is where we find out a little side effect of the Twister. Kingler has flinched, giving Kingler another free turn to use a Hydro Pump. This is too much, and Kingler's time of glory is ended. Ash recalls his King Crab, thanking it for its efforts. Ash, not wanting to reveal Lapras this early, decides to send in Octillery as his final Pokemon. The Octopi emerges with the look of someone that is ready to win at all costs. The loss it had against B and Cianwood has motivated more than it ever has been before. Ash sees this, so he gives it a command that Octillery does respond to immediately. It seems the two have finally gotten on the same page, thanks to B. But this is where Kingdra gets to reveal the advantage it has in a Whirlpool battlefield. Kingdra is at home in the Whirlpool. It rides like the movement of the water is its movement. Ash orders Octillery into the water, but as it enters, Octillery is swept away by the current. It is at this moment that Ash sees his error in what Christopher was saying. Ash needs to come up with something. Kingdra is just zipping by, chipping away with little damage at a time on Octillery. Eventually, Ash begins to see a pattern in Kingdra's movements, telling Octillery to wait, just let the water take it. Christopher sees this as an opening to secure the win, but Ash was waiting for Kingdra to get close, telling Octillery to use its suction cups to hold on to Kingdra. The Sea Dragon flails about, trying to knock off its passenger, but it's no use. Christopher tells his Pokemon to use Hyper Beam, blast it off, but Ash tells Octillery to constrict around Kingler's mouth, trapping the attack in the process. Unable to do anything, Christopher watches as the Hyper Beam explodes inside Kingdra, knocking it out in the process, moving Ash to the next round in the top 8. The crowd is excited about what they saw. This was definitely the best battle of the day, but Christopher remarks that what Ash did was kind of dangerous. An attack with that much power locked up could cause permanent damage. Ash then tries to apologize. He didn't mean any harm, but Christopher remarks he's a champion. He should know better, as he recalls his Kingdra walking off the field to go get it help. This leaves Ash speechless, unable to enjoy his victory. Later at the Pokemon Center, Ash is alone thinking about the events of earlier, when Misty and Gary join him. Gary don't know what was said to Ash, so they try to figure it out. Why he seems so down. Ash is reluctant at first, but Misty eventually drags it out of him. But she's not really surprised. Gary isn't either. Ash, you tend to lose yourself in battles when you're having fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. Though your win was a bit on the extreme side today. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. Yeah, Ash won fair and square. It sounds more like anything that Christopher was just upset that he lost, as it seemed he had the battle won. But you did what you do best, and pulled something out at the last minute. But Misty does offer some perspective that neither was expecting, and interests Garrett deeply. Ash, I will say that since you've battled with Giovanni and Team Rocket, you have been a little bit reckless in your battling style, taking things too far sometimes. I know the loss you had against them shook you, but you need to let it go. Last time you were unprepared, but next time things will be different. Shocked, Gary chimes in. Wait, you've had dealings with Team Rocket? Yes, we have, Ash says. Their leader Giovanni almost ended Charizard when it battled his Golem. Ever since then, my Charizard has been off training. That explains a lot, Gary says. He then goes on to tell Ash and Misty about the encounters that he's had with them as the night fades on. The next morning, the events are in full swing. It's here that the skill gap is in full view as Wallace demonstrates his mastery of the water and takes out the prodigy Trinity, someone who was the odds-on favorite to win. This is the round that trainers have to use 3 Pokemon, and Wallace's Milotic against Trinity's Gyarados is a demonstration of beauty and aggression, but Wallace was able to outlast and move on to the top 4. Misty is the second round and gets paired up against an older trainer named Harrison. This match comes down to the wire, but when Harrison's Quillfish gets caught in Corsola's spikes, a spike cannon ends the match and moves Misty into the top 4. Round 3 ends ends up being a match between Gary and Vincent. Vincent is just as cocky as ever, but Gary's Seadra makes quick work of his Golduck and ends up tying with his Azumarill. This leaves Vincent with just one Pokemon, and it's one that isn't common in Johto, declaring, "Weasel, go!" This new Pokemon emerges from its ball to be met with Gary's Slowbro. Gary proves that his Pokemon is very well trained, countering every move that Vincent throws at Slowbro. Gary is impressed by Vincent, but knows he still has a way to go with this Pokemon, ending the battle and Vincent's place in the tournament with an Ice Punch that freezes Weasel. Vincent is crushed that he lost to Gary again, but there is still a chance, as Ash, Vincent's hero, is still in the tournament, and once he wins his next battle, Ash will face Gary to knock him out. Now the match that Ash knew would happen. Nessa and he are the final combatants of the day, and the crowd is just as pumped as if it was the first battle of the day. Ash has said nothing to Nessa since their interaction the previous time. The two look on, saying nothing but calling out the Pokemon they choose to start the battle. Kingler, Quagsire, go! A unique matchup for sure. This battle is a drawn out one, with Kingler trading Crab Hammers with Ice Punches from Quagsire. Nessa is no fool, knowing Kingler is quite bulky, so to put Ash on a clock, she baits Ash, allowing a Crab Hammer to land so Quagsire can counter with a Toxic. This halts Kingler as the poison seeps into the Mon. Ash knows this isn't good, having flashbacks to his battle with Agatha. He needs to end this now. Nessa orders Quagsire into the water, using its speed to outpace Kingler. The crab follows it in, but it can't keep pace. Even though it's a water-type Pokemon, it's better equipped for land battles. Ash orders a Hyper Beam. As Kingler charges it, Quagsire uses a move that's never been seen before. Scold. This heats up the surrounding water, cooking Kingler in the process. Crab of the Kings fires the Hyper Beam as it begins to warm while the Toxic reaches critical levels. An explosion erupts from the water, throwing Kingler and Quagsire to their platforms. But a winner is clear, as Kingler is unable to battle. Ash recalls his Kingler, surprised at the results. He thought he had that one, but Nessa knew better. Quagsire was her plan for Kingler from the beginning, but it wasn't without cost, as it did take the brunt of the Hyper Beam, so it is definitely moving slower. Ash wastes no time, sending in a second Pokemon, Octillery. It's ready to go, as Ash gives it an order to start the battle. Nessa, thinking about the long game, orders another Toxic, but this is why Ash chose Octillery here. He orders an Octazooka that dissipates the Toxic. Octillery has the perfect counter, so this won't work a second time. Ash, knowing he needs to end this now, orders a Constrict on Quagsire. This prevents any type of counter from Nessa and damage to Octillery. With one final blow, Ash finishes it with a Psybeam. Nessa recalls her Mon, thanking it for a hard-fought battle. Again, she says nothing to Ash, sending in her next Pokemon, something no one in attendance has ever seen. Ash, pulling out his Pokedex, learned that this is a Barraskewda. Knowing he needs to be careful, Ash orders another Octazooka, but Barraskewda shoots around Octillery at a lightning pace, almost like a torpedo looking for its target. It is at this point Nessa orders a move Ash hasn't heard before, called Drill Run. The pin-nosed piranha jumps from the water, hitting Octillery, and before it can retaliate, Barraskewda is right back into the water, using it for cover. Ash looks at Octillery. He notices that that hit was harder than it originally looked. A critical, Ash thinks. Octillery, can you continue, he calls. Octillery nods. It's at this point Nessa finally breaks the silence of the whole match. Ash, B told me you were strong, but not tactical. If you wish to win this battle, you're going to have to prove her wrong, as Barraskewda attacks with another Drill Run, knocking Octillery into the water, as Ash looks on, wondering how he's going to get out of this one. And that's all we have for What If Indigo Champion Ash Challenge the Johto League Part 9. How do you guys feel about this part? The World Cup is definitely starting to heat up. And let's not forget the fact that we have a lot of surprise entrants, like Wallace, the gym leader of the Sootopolis City from Hoenn, and Nessa, who's supposed to be as strong as an Elite Four member. How do you feel about Ash and the way he won that battle with the Kingdra? And how do you feel about Misty's revelation that she is missing something? Let me know in the comments down below. And with all that being said, it's time to end the video the best way we know how, thanking the sponsors, the patrons. Silver Heartsoul, Robert, Vegito Gaming 78, Andrew McCartney, Holosiv, Julian Rodriguez, Ruben Watson, Lord Explosion Murder, Assassin 139, Flyer 943, Shadow Dragon, Tavern Landlord, K McKnight, Kevin Atran, Maker YAG, Drax, True Volt, Dylan Silva, Fox King, Dalian Petit, Warren E. Taylor, Plus Ultraman, Megar, Nelson Bautista, and Mike Logan. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.